Northamptonshire conjured up one of their better first innings scores this season thanks to Rob Newton, who struck the 600 of his career and the first by any of his side this season on the opening day of the LV County Championship match with Warwickshire at Wantage Road. Winning the toss and batting first, the home side simply had to get off to a good start after being read the riot act by their chief executive after they slipped to the 5th defeat in a row a couple of weeks ago against Yorkshire. Stephen Peters and James Middlebrook opened up with a stand of 29 in the first 9.5 overs. Chris Woakes, who missed out on being selected in the final England 11 for the first Test match of the summer, grabbed the first wicket of this match by trapping Peters in front for 13. That brought in Richard Levy, who's extended his contract after initially being signed for one-day cricket only. He looked good in his first championship game for the county as he and Middlebrook took the total to 66 in quick time, the pair adding 37 runs in 7 overs. But then Middlebrook went fishing and nicked off to Ricky Clark after making 33 of the runs on the board. 3 balls later and Northamptonshire were in a spot of bother again as Richard Keogh was bowled by a delivery which didn't get up. Levy, known as a very big hitter of a cricket ball, had played 42 first-class games prior to this one, and the man from Johannesburg looked in good nick, something his side would have been pleased to see. They began this match already 47 points adrift at the bottom of the First Division table, although they have played fewer games than the rest. The score read 115 when they lost 2 wickets in the space of just 4 balls. On 16, Matt Spreagle was LBW to Chris Wright, before Woakes began the next over by having Levy caught behind by Tim Ambrose, although the batsman did not look at all happy with the decision. So Newton had to begin his knock with his side once again in some trouble. He added 26 runs in 6 overs with Ben Duckett, who fell for 8 when he edged a half drive off Jitan Patel to Clark at slip. That left the home side with lots of work to do on 141 for 6. The Warwickshire captain, Jim Troughton, playing for the first time this year because of injury, would have been delighted with his side's progress, but they were then held up by a combination of Newton and Andrew Hall, the two developing a crucial partnership in what's been a horrible season thus far for their team. They just avoided defeat by the skin of their teeth in their first game back in the top flight against Durham, but have been well beaten in their 5 matches since then. With Newton playing with positive intent, Hall was the ideal foil for him. He batted patiently for the most part as he helped his side reach 202 for 6 by the time the tea break arrived. Shortly after the resumption, Newton drove Patel for the boundary he needed to reach a 50 for the first time this summer. It was a vital innings for his team as well. His half-century had come off 96 balls from which it struck 9 fours. It was now important for him to keep going to maintain his side's upward mobility. And that's just what the 24-year-old did as he continued to hit boundaries in clusters in what was soon becoming one of the very best knocks by any Northamptonshire player in this troubled summer. They desperately needed someone to find some form to try to lift the confidence in the camp, and Newton was the man to do that. He played his shots to all parts of the ground and didn't appear to be overly troubled by any of this Warwickshire attack. Hall also continued to play well alongside him as these two took their partnership into 3 figures, their stand eventually realising 129 runs in 43 overs. It took the second new ball to break it, Woakes using it expertly to bowl Hall for a 45, which had taken him 138 balls to compile. That second new cherry did the business for the visitors. Stephen Cook nicked off to right before he troubled the scorers. But Newton held firm, and when he pulled right to the long leg boundary to collect his 17th 4, he was able to raise his bat on getting to 3 figures for the first time in a couple of years. It was a fine knock which had occupied 164 deliveries. How his side had needed him to produce just this sort of innings, as he became the first of their players to hit a ton this year. And he was still there when bad light brought an end to the day in the 90th over. He'll go again on 108, needing just a dozen more runs for the highest score of his career, which was made against Derbyshire a couple of years ago. He's helped his side to a total of 297 for 8. At least a 3rd batting bonus point should be a formality on day 2.